having run through quickly some of these impacts on health, where is this syndemic tort coming from? Well, a syndemic is a situation in which two or more interrelated biological factors work together to make a disease or a health crisis worse. And I'm here to tell you, to introduce you to this concept, to say that, look, climate change can be considered a pandemic because of its sweeping effects on the health of humans and the natural systems we depend on. In other words, all those things I just described to you, climate change having all those health impacts, it could be considered a pandemic because it has a sweeping effect on your health, the health of humans, and the natural systems that we depend on to stay healthy or to just to survive. So that is where the concept of planetary health came from. Now, I have been a One Health advocate for many, many, many decades. One Health has to do with this concept that you view human health and animal health as being closely linked. And of course, the prevalence of these zoonoses. A zoonose is a disease that can move from animals to people. And our first major look at it in a modern sense was with SARS, but you also have rabies and other kinds of diseases that can move from animals to people. In other words, an infected animal can lead to an infected and a diseased human. And in some cases, it can cause loss of life. So this new concept of planetary health is broader than One Health. So it's not only a concern about animal health, human health, but environmental health as well. And that is where the concept of planetary health comes from. So that those of us who are advocates of One Health, who recognize the links between what happens in the biotic environment, in other words, living organisms out there, and how they, when they interact with us as humans, and how they impact our health, now have broadened that scope to include something called planetary health, where we recognize that an unhealthy environment is going to lead to serious, serious issues in terms of our own health as humans. So what is this global syndemic that I'm hinting at? It comprises 3 pandemics. And these are 3 pandemics that we are really, really familiar with in this part of the world. There's obesity, there's undernutrition, and then there's climate change. And these 3 affect people in every country. What are the links? I mean, why this sudden concern with obesity? Because it has to do with malnutrition. So that on either end of the spectrum, you have obesity, which is overnutrition, especially in the wrong type of nutrition. And then you have undernutrition, which of course is the absence now of your nutrients. And what has climate change got to do with all that? Because climate change is the pandemic that is helping to drive some of the others. Because of its impact on agriculture, on environmental health. Remember when you talk about planetary health? What climate change has done is now it has compromised our ability to be nutrition secure. Notice I didn't say anything fancy like food secure. I'm talking about nutrition secure, because with nutrition security, we are concerned with the source of the calories that people bandy about so much. Because as most of you would know, there is this over-reliance of a 2100 calorie diet as being an indicator of food security. I'm here to tell you that, to remind you that you can get those 2100 calories from 2 dozen soft drinks, I guess. But that is not what people mean when they talk about being nutritionally secure, being food secure. So I just wanted to introduce you to this concept about global syndemics, or the global syndemic, the fact that you can be compromised because of the efforts we are making now to address climate change. Some of them directly, listen to me correctly, directly impact our ability to nourish ourselves and to be nutritionally secure. And that, to me, is the major indicator of the importance of this webinar series that we're starting, and that we are going to be eventually be looking at this global syndemic and how activities we indulge in to either correct or to adapt to climate change and the climate crisis are going to have serious, serious implications for our nutritional security. So what is needed? So we need some comprehensive solutions. And in communicating the interlocking issues of climate change and health and well-being, that's what this webinar is all about. So we want to be sure that all the people involved in communicating these interlocking issues have a real serious view of the broad picture. We want to be able to address the science and medicine intersects. And I can say, humbly, in my own little way, I've been part of that front line looking at how we address the science medicine intersects. We had recently, last year, a look at Caribbean health and climate change, and I've done a little bit of work in terms of climate change and agriculture and One Health and climate smart agriculture, etc. So that's where we need comprehensive solutions are needed. And those of you, who have the time and the interest, could always go to my channel, Steve Maximay, YouTube channel, and see some of the kinds of work that has been taking place in terms of looking at comprehensive solutions. And then, of course, we need to align the political will, the policy, and the practice. And of course, that can only be done by expanding on the very important work that you do as communicators, as media people, as people with an interest in taking a look at how these comprehensive solutions can be arrived at for what is indeed a very complex problem. So this business about climate change and health is not a simple issue of just saying, oh yes, well, they both exist, but how do they interlock? How do we come up with comprehensive ways of dealing with it? I promised you that I wouldn't go on forever. So I would like to thank you for your attention, to let you know that the slides are going to be freely available. We are going to have ample opportunity, because I didn't take up my whole hour, for us to have really, really meaningful discussions in terms of how we go forward from this point on. Thanks again.